It's hilarious. Anyways, wait. Yeah, you got to do the thing.
So, John and Scully here. Scully and John. Pulling the Thread podcast. Episode what?
6.
Episode 6.
You got to do the intro. Come on. Episode 6. Is it 6?
It's 6.
Are you sure it's 6?
And I love how you only give them a taste of the intro every time. It never gets the full play. We just get the one. And it's
yeah, you just.
That's what they're about to get on the mainstream. We're going to take 5-minute cuts out of these podcasts and put them up public.
Public where?
YouTube.
Oh, YouTube.
Yeah.
To the tubes.
I don't want to be on the YouTubes.
You're way up in that motherfucker.
I don't want to be on the
You've
YouTubes.
been there for years.
I mean,
I have two other channels that are Scully.
well, I mean,
Have you seen your Instagram page that I manage?
I have not. You know what? If you want to make an Instagram page, you make it.
It's all kinds of pictures of you, and then it's a dude's butt.
That's all right. I don't care.
Canary in the coal mine.
You speaking of changing names, this is the perfect time to do it. Like this is the time where I feel like.
What would your name be?
I don't know. Who does everybody say I look like? The
There's a few of them,
lead
man.
singer for Megadeth or no
Pantera?
Anthrax.
Anthrax?
No. Slayer.
Yeah, that I would
bass
change.
player singer for Slayer.
I would change my name to
identical
his name. That's what I think.
And then he would change his name to you.
That would be cool. We should do that.
Do you like Blink 182?
I mean, I'm sure I like some of their songs. Maybe.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Good, we're going.
To Blink 182?
Yes.
When is it?
Yeah, February.
February. Where at?
At the Bridgestone. Is it Bridgestone?
I think so.
Are they opening for Blink 182?
No, Blink's opening for Brandel's band.
That's good.
For Silent Horror.
Yeah.
Silent Horror? That'd be awesome.
Araya?
Yeah, Tom. I'm going to change my name to Tom.
I would think that as many times as that's been said, that you would have fucking face to face with him at some point.
I would maybe one day we'll be face to face and we can
right here in the middle.
We can talk about how little our lives actually intersect because I don't know anything about playing instruments.
All right, so what should we speak about today?
Okay. So I'm driving in here, right? And you know what season it is.
Deer season, duck season?
Duck season.
Duck season.
There's 9,000 cars down. I think SOE needs to really put forth an effort, reach way out and bring back our Steve-O. And we need to dress our Steve-O.
Oh, shit. They would shoot him.
Up in a giant duck costume. I'll get some body armor. We'll find us a boat. And we'll just haul ass through all their little blind spots.
Oh, that'd be good. I'll bet it's a federal offense somehow.
It is, isn't it? It's state land, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we probably have TBI
But
after us.
waterways, it's actually probably federal.
Yeah, it could be.
It's federal, I guarantee it, because those duck stamps and all that shit.
They would never think it was.
They wouldn't get us for harassing duck hunters. They'd charge us for harassing wildlife or something.
Yeah, it would be the ducks. But yeah, we get our Steve-O.
I like it.
Bring him from Virginia.
So every now and then, I don't know, every 4 or 5 months, Tyler will text me. He'll message me some rap link to a rap song, and I'll listen to it. And I'm like, that's terrible. Like, I don't even know who the fuck these people are. And I'll message him back, and every now and then he'll reply back. And he's like, I love you guys. I'm like, well, you love us so much. I haven't fucking seen you in 3 years. Like, he's like, I'm coming. I promise. I'll be there, Bubby. I'm like, I need lights put up. I need Christmas lights put up. I'll pay you whatever you want. Like, whatever you want. You're going to be here a couple weeks. I just need lights.
That
I'll
would be a
lift.
great video just in itself of him in the trees. That's awesome.
Well, you saw it.
Yeah,
like,
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I come
It's
out
awesome.
and the tree's like bent over, touching the ground.
Tasking. It's awesome. He's great for that.
He's like, I'll be there. I go, you won't fucking be here. He's like, I'll be there, Bubby. I'll be there. And then I don't hear from him for 6 months.
Yeah, I wish we could get him to come back out.
He just doesn't. I don't know what life he's living, but he's living a life where he doesn't fucking care to have anything more than what he has.
Yeah.
Because I would literally pay him anything he wants to put those fucking Christmas lights up.
Yeah, he'll do the same thing to me. He'll send me a text. My phone will literally go beep beep, and I'll look at it, and it'll be him, and it'll be like, "Hey, Bubby, what you doing?" I know 100% if I go, "Oh, I'm just fucking doing this, that. How's things with you?" I won't ever.
Yeah,
That's
ghosted.
it. It's just ghost. It's weird. I almost, we had that theory that his wife actually killed him, and she was doing the Texas to keep his spirit alive.
Yes.
But I think
Or the kid's old enough now. The kid could have killed him.
That is true.
Is there 2 kids or just one?
I believe there's 2. I believe there was a second after.
Do you remember
his daughter?
Do you remember when his little girl beat up that boy?
Yeah.
What was she, 3?
I think she
and
was.
The kid
3.
was like 6.
Yeah.
We walk over. He's fucking with her. I'm a T-Rex. I'm a T-Rex, and he keeps rah rah rah, and she just like spider monkeyed his ass and was like on him, sitting on him, beating his face in.
Yeah. She's a real West Virginia girl, like real West Virginia.
What's that TV show they had? What was the mating call? Boone County mating call. Yeah, that was West Virginia.
But she's a real West Virginia girl. She'd be spider monkeying out of trees and all kinds of crazy shit.
Okay, so are we in World War III?
No, not yet.
Are we going to be in World War III?
I don't think so.
They're really trying. Are they?
No, I don't think they're really trying.
So why they keep promoting that and pushing that? Why do they want us to believe we're going to be in World War III?
They have to keep promoting and pushing the scariest narrative that they possibly can, so everybody will be like, "Oh my God, we're going to die from nuclear holocaust," while they take $30 billion and just lose it.
Well, the White House asked for $45 billion, and Congress is like, I don't know if we can give you $45 billion, so we'll give you $85 billion.
Yeah.
Because Congress needs each to cut themselves, right?
The whole thing is a scam.
They're like, here's how much we're taking, that pays us. You guys add whatever you want on top.
The reality is, people, what you don't understand is 3 times now they have given Ukraine more money than the entire 10 years we spent fighting the war on terror. Meaning the greatest army in the world is the United States. The biggest army is the United States Army. We were fighting in 3 different countries, and they've given little Ukraine 3 times the amount of money we needed to fight for 10 years, and they haven't done anything. They haven't won. I mean, come on. All that money is flowing back into the pockets of our crazy ass representatives,
politicians.
Yeah.
So you see the drones that they're building. I guess they're building these drones in Vietnam. They're pretty big. They look like our drones, but they're 40 times bigger. They're big. And they say that they drop grenades, but what they look like is little fucking mortars, and it's got like this rack on the bottom of it. Looks like there's 20 in a exposed magazine.
Yeah, they have they've been doing it for a while with singles. They can drop a 60 millimeter mortar. And what we did, I mean, if you think about drone technology, people in the world, when you think about Iran, Russia, China, what we did is we gave the Iranians one of our drones, and then the secondary market on drone manufacturer, big drones, exploded. Everybody had a big drone after we allowed the Iranians to scavenge one of ours. So
why did we do that?
Same reason why we left M1 Abram tanks. Same reason why the Mahdi army has an M1 Abram tank is because the industrial complex wants to make a new system. Because if you think about drone technology in the United States perspective, forget about the rest of the world. We have been flying attack drones for almost 25 years.
Yep.
So that's, if you think about, and I know most people don't think about this, if you think about military contracts, that's old technology. Who cares? I mean, I'm sure that Northrop Grumman wants, which they already have, by the way, and they've been flying it for almost, we've known about it for probably 5 years, but I bet they've been flying it longer, is they want a space drone. They want space drones. They want drones that you put 10 troops in and you launch it from Cape Canaveral and it's in Afghanistan in 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Yeah. The reality is if you go space, so if you go ballistic, you can get anywhere in the world in 30 minutes.
Is that what ballistic means, space?
Yeah. If you use a ballistic trajectory to go into space and then come down anywhere on the world, you'll be there in 30 minutes.
Did you see, so speaking of tanks, we gave M1 Abrams 700 M1 Abrams.
Oh,
to Ukraine?
No.
Who do we give them to?
Again, we're not trying to start World War III. We gave them to their proxy. We gave them to Poland.
Got it.
See what happened. The reality is what happened is Poland gave them all their frontline tanks, and then Poland's like, "Hey guys, what's up?" And then we were like, "Okay, here you go." And it's the reality again. It's the M1 Abrams has been around since the 90s. While it is still one of the premier tanks, yes, there are probably better tanks out there, but no one, not the Chinese, not the Russians, no one has the amount of mainline battle tanks that we do. We have 15,000 M1 Abrams sitting in the desert doing nothing because this is America. We have more of everything. We have more of everything. It's the Big Mac of tanks.
Did you see that there's supposed to be some tanks, some Russian tanks are getting blown up over there? And there's some footage of them, and they're actually not. They're cardboard and plywood. Is that Ukraine fabricating that to make it look? Is that some propaganda, or is that?
Well, it's probably a little bit of both. It's probably some serious propaganda, and also some serious fraud, waste, and abuse that's going on in the Russian government. I mean, the reality is, we do the same thing here. Meaning, when fucking Northrop Grumman wants to make a new widget, they grease the skids and give a politician millions of dollars, and then the politicians give them millions of dollars to make the widget. The great thing about America, though, is Northrop Grumman then makes the widget. They're like, hey, okay, thanks for the money. Everybody got paid. Let's make the widget. Where in Russia, they do the exact same thing, except everything is so corrupt that by the time the money gets to the general that's in charge of making the widget, he's like, make kind of like the widget. So like their reactive armor, they are finding vehicles with the reactive armor on there that is just filled with cardboard and sand. Got it. And the big mainline tanks and stuff like that, they're not. Remember, it's on our interest. It's in America's interest, or not really America, but the industrial military complex. It's in our interest to create a boogeyman and this scary thing that allows them to go to Congress and go, hey, we need a 6th generation fighter because the Russians now have a 5th generation fighter. And it's almost one of those things where I think that the countries actually game each other out that way, where it's like, hey guys, we're gonna pretend like we have this really great piece of gear, so you guys can pretend like you need to buy this really, and they just go back and forth because
that's what I think.
They don't have shit. The Russians don't have shit. It's been the biggest fiasco.
Well, Biden went to Russia and talked to Putin, right? Yeah. And I think that's what that was. I'm going to say this, you say that, then you do this, and I'll do that, and then.
Yeah, let's really.
I think that everywhere is fucking collapsing, and this is their effort to fucking steal some more money before it fucking actually finally collapses.
Yeah, we're in a precarious situation where everybody, even the billionaires that are running the world, are predicting a major collapse in the United States, which, with inflation rates and the way things are going, we're really close to another housing crisis. If you're a millionaire, if you're a congressional millionaire, the way you weather out the storm, the way you weather out any crash in the United States is become a billionaire. And so the way you do that, obviously, is you give a bunch of money to a foreign country. You tell them, hey, we're not gonna tell you where to spend it, how to spend it, or we don't even care what happens to it. And then I know that you're going to give me a bunch of fucking money to make me a billionaire. And now I don't have to worry about a collapse in the United States. That's why we keep giving those motherfuckers money. It's because they're funneling it back into, the crooked political system that we have established.
So how do you stop that?
You don't. We can't. The only way you stop it is through revolution. And this country, the problem is, me included, I say this all the time, me included, we're too comfortable.
And revolution won't look like it has in the past. They're going to take one of those drones and just blow up your neighborhood with it.
I know that there's a lot of saber rattling when it comes to the federal government about, well, we have nukes and we have F-16s and we have. You don't really. I mean, the reality is you don't really. Yes. Is there a percentage of U.S. troops that would show up to defend the corruption that is our current federal system? Yes.
I think it's greater now than it ever has been. I think they pushed a lot of the patriots out.
It is greater, but the amount of red-blooded patriots that are in the civilian world who have spent the last 10 years fighting in Afghanistan, or last 20 years fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq, it would not turn out the way that our federal government thinks. I mean, because what could they do? Nuke Tennessee? I mean, when you get to that level, you're going to have serious problems.
That's why I say, I mean, they wouldn't have to nuke Tennessee, right?
Well, as long as
they know where the compounds are. They know where the people that they perceive as the enemy are. All they would have to do is some kid in Colorado would fly a fucking drone.
The problem is, John, is that they're so outnumbered. Like it's easy. It's easy to, for example, right now, it's very easy for the government to go, SOE's bad. Let's go raid SOE. It's real easy to do that. But when the fires are lit all over the United States, the only thing they're going to be able to do is fortify Washington, D.C.,
which they are fortifying.
Yes.
Washington, D.C. They expect it.
Fortify Washington, D.C., and hope that everyone doesn't get together with their pitchforks and torches and go burn that damn town
Well,
down.
one of the congresspersons was like, they're talking about pulling us out and tarring and feathering us. Like, that's a surprise? Like,
Yeah.
What fucking world do you live in?
Well, I think he lives in the world where Americans, by and large, including me, are very complacent with how the government runs, and it's I think from a conservative perspective, conservatives like to be like I mean, it's the lifestyle we actually have chosen is leave me alone, let me live my life, I'll pay my taxes, I don't care what you people in Washington, D.C. do, just stay out of my business.
Let us be less of a slave.
And the problem with that is the problem with us saying stay out of our business is they have realized that they can rob us blind by just staying out of our business. So, I mean, it's a crazy, mad world.
And we're giving Japan 75 Tomahawk missiles.
Good.
Did you hear that?
I did not hear that, but good.
How come?
Because
they'll use them.
The Japanese want a seat at the table. Since the end of World War II, Japan has been, they're not a second-class nation, but they have been treated that way. And they don't have a seat at the table at the world forums. And they want a seat at the table. And if anything is going to get us, if we end up fighting the Chinese in the future over Taiwan, it's going to be because of Japan. Japan is, the Chinese are encroaching so much on the Sea of Japan. And Japan has the technology, the discipline, and the support to go toe-to-toe with China. Now, they don't have the mass that China has, but they have technology that will really hurt China. So China will have to do something that will require the United States to get involved.
And you think that's what we need to do?
Well, if you want a one-world government, like the reality is, everybody who's screaming about one world government, there's two things you have to do. There's three. You have to get rid of Iran, you have to get rid of Russia, you have to get rid of China.
Isn't Iran an easy one to get rid of?
We're not very, I would say yes, but
how would you get rid of them? Just toss those things over there and let them blow?
No, I mean, you could, I think what's going on, especially what's going on right now, with the protests.
They're
because
close to toppling. They've killed. Is it 18,000?
I don't know how many they've killed.
18,000 women.
When you see Iran policemen running Iranian policemen running.
That's my question. In China,
that's a big problem.
In China, you got all these motherfuckers in the paper suits, right? They're Tyvek suits, running around beating people with clubs. Why don't those motherfuckers sharpen up some table legs?
I mean, it's China's weird in the sense that it's so big. It's always been governed by a very small minority through violence. So I think that the Chinese people probably suffer from a little bit of we don't think we can do anything about this.
They're just broken as a people.
They're just I don't want to say broken as a people, but they've, as far as uprisings, the Chinese people have not had very good success. Because, the reality is in a communist dictatorship like that, they like this right here, this right here, they would already be kicking in the door and taking us to the gulag. So there's not an opportunity for that uprising. They're pretty good at that. The Communist Party is pretty good about eliminating its foes, even within the party. I mean, there are every week. I can't think of his name. Whoever, Xi Jinping or
Panda.
Is it still Panda?
Panda. What happened to that guy?
But
you were aware there's a rap song, and all they say is Panda, 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 Panda. The whole song.
Yeah, I don't understand why rich people are people in power don't understand that when you go out of your way to censor people to be like, don't call me Panda, that you're immediately going to get more.
That's the only reason we know it.
If he would have went, hell yeah, I love Winnie the Pooh, that would have been the end of it. No one would have ever called him Panda again, right? No one would have ever called him Panda again if he's like, yeah, I love Winnie the Pooh. Shit, yeah.
And if you hate Winnie, like, why did you allow all those fucking fake Disneylands to be built in China?
It's just crazy. But
so back to one world. To have a one world government, you have to get rid of three things. What are those? Iran,
Russia, and China.
Russia. Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, China's actually the big one. Like, and China is actually nervous because the Chinese have all the same equipment that the Russians have, and you have shoemakers and air conditioning repairmen out there blowing up all of Russia's shit.
Well, there's something to be said for homeland advantage. I mean, those kids that they're sending over from Russia or whoever we're calling the Russians.
Yes.
They don't want to come over.
No.
They don't want to win that war. They were forced to come over here.
Well, that's now. The initial, Putin spent 5 years upgrading the Russian military.
Then again, too, he's probably getting rid of mouths that he has to feed that are not what he wants.
Maybe. I mean, it's tough to say what I really think. The reality is, I think his intelligence networks failed him. That the Russians were telling him that if we go into Ukraine, they're going to welcome us with open arms, and we're going to be able to take Ukraine just like we did the Donbass and all those other places.
Do you think they did that intentionally, or think they were just not?
I think when you are a general and you have survived Putin's reign for 20 years, you tell the dude what he wants to hear. You don't tell him the truth. You tell him what he wants to hear and hope for the best.
Well, don't you think he's killed those generals by now?
Yeah, they are losing generals in combat. Now, we don't know the exact disposition of how they are losing generals, but this is the first time since World War II that general officers have been killed. He's sending them to the front. He's doing hey, you're going, you told me that now you're going to go fight the Ukrainians. Get the fuck out of here.
Have you seen all the footage of just like the little DJI drones, like the little cheapy drones, dropping grenades down ventilation pipes and shit, and dropping them on the laps of Russian soldiers? And
it's a unique piece of technology, and it's going to have some people were like, drones are changing the state of warfare. They're not changing the state of warfare. We've had that type of technology since, the first balloon flew over the Civil War and somebody threw a rock out of it. It's just how quickly the military-industrial complex, because, the reality is you don't make any money building drones, right? There's no general that's going to be like, you know what we need? We need a DJI factory that makes drones that just drops grenades because that's the way to do it. There's no money in that. There's money in aircraft carriers and tanks. And
I would think that they would just have jammers out there.
they do.
Yeah.
So
So I go to take my drone off a lot of places, and it won't go above 20 feet. And then sometimes I go to take off, and there's a if the president is in town, you're not taking shit off the ground anywhere fucking within 50 miles of that motherfucker.
And this year, I believe this year, all your drones have to be registered too.
I don't know about that.
I think that
Probably.
law passed where I think you're, because I see now where they're like, you know, jailbreak your drone so nobody knows.
The
it's
thing
in
is,
air.
they already know, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's up in arms over TikTok. You've got all these dudes about TikTok. Your government's doing the same shit.
It's
China is. I am not worried about what fucking China knows. I have not done anything in the last 10 years that I give a shit about China knowing.
Yeah.
But your government will fucking come fuck you
Yeah,
up.
they want to. They lost what recently $3 trillion, and they want to know. They want to know why Brandel's making all that $600 on his feet picks.
Yeah.
Right.
What's that really about? It's to steal more money. But it's more to keep normal people in turmoil.
What they really need to do is come out and say the truth.
What
Okay?
is the truth?
The truth is, in the United States, we're a bunch of fucking perverts, like serious perverts, and because of technology, girls are getting paid a lot of money, multi-billion-dollar industry, to share pictures of their feet, their toes, their whatever, to perverts, me included. I'm a pervert. I love women. It's $1 billion industry, and because of the way the Cash App and Zillow and all those things operate, there's no taxes on it. And that is why they dropped it down to $600, because they want those girls to pay taxes because they are making a mint.
So I don't know why they're making such a big deal about this because...
Well, because
Well, hold on. Because 10 years ago, I was still in San Diego. So even more than 10 years ago. It used to be the threshold was $10,000, right? And it changed to $2,000. So if you made more than $2,000 through PayPal 1099's your ass.
Yeah.
The IRS fucking already knows. So why don't they just fucking make... Why are they all up in everybody? You better report this. You better report this. Why don't they just fucking 1099 them?
Because the app services that are out there now, like Cash App and things like that, they're not required.
They are.
They are now.
They were.
But they're not.
Already were.
The Cash App was $20,000.
Okay.
So
why not?
what you do? So the reality is, what you do. Brandel sells his feet pics. He opens 10 accounts in Cash App,
right?
And he's getting 600. You know, he's making whatever that minimal threshold is, but in all those different accounts, and that's what the government's trying to get, because it is literally billions of dollars.
So if this was really about the money, because it's not just about the money, it's about making criminals.
Well,
if this was really about the money, they would be like, okay, PayPal, okay, Cash App, Venmo, whoever, you have to, every dollar that comes through, you got to put fucking 30 cents away for taxes or whatever, and then PayPal pays on your behalf. It wouldn't take shit to do it, especially with blockchain today. They could do that immediately. You wouldn't have any fucking say over it. They would just steal your money and give it to the IRS.
Okay. But then if you do it, what you're not understanding is PayPal is a corporation. And that corporation pays John Willis, the senator,
right,
money.
They're not interested in the solution.
Pays John. Well, what they're doing is they're forcing it on the user and not on the corporation, because the corporation is paying you to force it on the user.
But if they really if this was really about revenue, they could seamlessly do it. It just changes through zeros and ones. It wouldn't even require a human being.
True, but then again, if me as I don't know, I keep using PayPal, but who's somebody else? Cash App. Okay. We use Cash App. Me as Cash App. I don't make as much money that way because people aren't going to want to use my services. They're not going to want to use my services. So it's best for me to pay John to go, hey, you know what would be really cool? If you would write a bill. I know you guys want this tax money, but why don't you write a bill where the people who are actually putting the money into my services have to take care of those taxes so we don't have to mess with it. It's all, I mean, it's all greasing wheels.
Because most of them will never get caught, right? Most of them won't ever get caught, as they should not.
Well, I mean,
but when they do, the IRS is going to be like, hey, you owe us, you didn't pay for these last 3 years, so you owe us this money, plus you owe us this fee, this 50% extra. So our calculations show you owe $15,000 to us. So go ahead and pay us $15,000. You'll be like, I don't have that. And they'll set you up on a payment plan. And then you'll end up paying $45,000 for the next fucking rest of your life. And that's what it's all about. It's literally just about, because we'll put you in jail. It's about just making criminals. No victim. There is no victim. You can't point to anybody that was harmed. But that's it's all about just creating more fucking criminals.
And I'm guessing because this is directed at a specific type of industry, that it probably started, there was probably a Karen in Congress who was like, I don't like the fact that there are women,
my husband and my son.
Yeah, that there are women making all this money off of just showing their feet or whatever they're showing on these apps. And I want a bill passed that penalizes them.
Do you think, so you say it's the United States that's so big on that. Do you think it's because there's no punishment for just taking what you want in other countries? And the sex trade is so big in other countries, men can just go and get whatever weirdo shit they want in real life, and they don't have to do it over an app. They don't have to pretend or watch.
I mean, I don't know, because it's a little bit of both. Like, the reality is, I mean, if you, as most people do know, the porn industry is huge, and you don't really have to leave your living room anymore. I mean, yes, in the old days, you wanted to get freaky deaky, you flew to Thailand. Ukraine, by the way, that's one of the places you would go to get freaky deaky.
Yeah, Prague, Estonia, all that.
But you don't have to leave your living room anymore. And, you know, Americans are notoriously lazy.
So is the porn industry, I mean, I've every now and then a video will pop up or something, you'll see some snippet, but how is the porn industry still so large when porn is free? Who is paying? How is it monetized?
I do not know. And it's a it is one of the biggest industries in America as far as billions of dollars. I mean, I think pot is probably above it, but I don't know how they make money because it's all free.
I saw speaking of OnlyFans, Tim Pool and Bet David, right? Valuetainment. They'd had OnlyFans women on, right? And they're making, millions of dollars a year. But the average OnlyFans person, the average person on OnlyFans makes less than $100 per month. Because OnlyFans doesn't promote you. There's not like a top listing or whatever. I've not ever even been in OnlyFans, but I've listened to a lot of this when they do this. You have to promote yourself. So you have to go find your own fans. So while you're doing whatever in your fucking bedroom and you're showing up to church on Sunday and, you're at the fucking Rotary and the PTA meeting through the week, how do you promote yourself, right? Without also diming yourself out. And I'm sure he over there knows. But I've never looked at the dynamics of that. And I'm interested in it because I'm sure we could apply it to other things. Yes. But those girls they have to self-promote. They have to put money behind it, run ads. And I know, like, I'll get a lot of followers that follow me every day on Instagram, and I'll scroll through them, and you can tell the one, you're like, what the fuck is this? And you look, and it's just some chick with 6 or 7 pictures, and if you want to see my shit, here's my OnlyFans. And that's how they do it. They run their forward-facing Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and stuff, and they're really good at it. I'm sure you've seen it when you hit that little magnifying glass, that search function. It shows you what's trending and what's getting high ranking.
Right.
And it always looks like some porn shit, but when you click on it, it never is. Like, they're really good at building that thumbnail, and you're like, that looks like a horse up behind a a woman, right? And you click on it, and it's not ever what you thought it was, but they're really good at making that thumbnail look like something crazy.
I think the interesting thing about our current times is, like, if you wanted to, like, you know, let's just say 60 years ago, if Brandon wanted to sell his feet pics, right? He's in a Target bathroom, and he's like, "Psst, hey, you want to see my feet?"
That's how Lance would do it.
Right? Yeah. But I'm just saying, you know, he's in a Target, and now theoretically, if you think about it, if you're a young lady in Camden, Tennessee, and you're going to church every week, and you're on the PTA, you can target your audience in Singapore, right?
Through social media,
through social media and through the internet, you can now create a whole different universe for yourself. Not even, you know, where the likelihood that somebody in town is going to be like, "Man, I saw your feet pics." You could literally make it so that nobody in this country sees your, or, you know, only New York City.
Yeah,
now, eventually,
it's going to.
Eventually, I hate to tell you this, but men are perverts. Eventually, somebody in town is going to be like, "Man, I was on the Singapore site, and I know those are your feet, girl."
Yeah.
Eventually that'll happen. But yeah, you have the capability and the technology to, you know, if Brandel wants to show his feet to Japanese women and only Japanese women, he could probably create a channel where that's the only way it happens.
Maybe that's where all the waitresses went. All the waitresses are now OnlyFans.
Could be, or
they died.
No, so COVID, what we weren't paying attention to as Americans is pre-COVID, many senior citizens, many seniors, you know, people 60 and above, were in the job market, were working behind the scenes, whether that was even at McDonald's, Amazon. They were working behind the scenes. They were filling those job positions. And then Fauci released gain of function on them and killed a bunch of seniors, and then push them out of work, and they're just not going back to work.
It looks like they actually are going after Fauci. Are they going to really go after him?
They're not going to.
It's all a show.
I don't want to say it's a show, but here's the thing: you can't go after Fauci
without going out
and not going after everybody. I mean, because the reality is, the minute you pin Fauci, like if we really pitchforked and, you know, grabbed Fauci and took him to some puppet court, immediately Fauci's going to be like,
"He told me to do it.
This motherfucker is the one who gave me permission. These are the people who said it was okay. He's the squealer."
So you think they're going to suicide him?
If for some reason America opens their eyes and understands that this was a biological weapon that
I think
was used against the United States. I mean, the majority of Americans.
I think that's why they are losing their shit so much over this Twitter shit, because he's putting it out. If
the majority of Americans finally change their mind and go after Fauci, he's a dead man. There's no way they're going to let him live. I mean, there's just no way.
So Bankman-Fried, they caught him.
Yeah. But you understand what they did, right?
Tell me.
They arrested him prior to testifying under oath.
Correct, because they're going to kill him.
Yeah, they arrested him prior to testifying under oath.
Because he can say, "I gave this guy money. I gave this guy money. I gave this guy money," and he's going to tie them all together.
Oh, yeah.
It's all the same Epstein people.
That's the thing I don't understand is the dude. I guarantee you, he had a shoebox full of gold coins, and, you know,
they're after him. They're saying that
the whole getaway. He had the whole getaway package. I bet he had currencies in 15 different countries.
And they're stuck on this. He had millions of dollars stuffed away.
I don't know why
he went 40 billion, and you're worried about millions. Like that was his. Come on.
But I don't know why he just didn't. I mean, I know it's hard. I know it's hard to say to hide in the world now because they can find you anywhere. But the dude didn't even try. He didn't even try. He just sat in the Bahamas and drank margaritas until they came and got him.
Because I think he really thought he was protected. I think they said, "Hey, you made these donations. You're our guy."
Hey, this is just for everybody out there in the internet land. If you're doing something corrupt for the government, you're doing something corrupt for the government, and they tell you they got your back when the shit starts hitting the wall, take your bailout bag and run. They don't ever have your back. Okay. We bailed out a basketball player and there's still a Marine in custody in Russia. Forget your government.
Have you seen the video of the basketball player?
Which one? Beating her wife?
I didn't see that.
Yeah. Just beat her wife twice. And what most people don't know is this is the second time she's been arrested in Russia for illicit narcotics.
Didn't know that either. You know that's a man.
I mean,
have you seen the pictures of her?
She looks like a man, but
have you seen the pictures of her with her shirt off before she played?
No,
on the women's basketball league.
No,
she's got a big fucking tattoo on her chest and shit. She's a man. I've got the dude, and that's what That's what Russia's point was when they said, "Do you know where you're going?" And she's like, "Yes, I'm going home." Are you excited? Yes, I'm excited. You didn't see any of that?
No, I didn't watch. I mean, the whole idea. I mean, come on. We traded the Merchant of Death for.
I kind of like the Merchant of Death.
No, I like him too. But again, because it's the only way I'm going to get my M1 Abrams if he gets over to Syria and starts buying all the ones we left over there and then puts them on the market, and then maybe I can talk Elon into putting an electric engine in it. I'm telling you, Elon, it'd be awesome.
Okay, so we put an electric engine in your Abrams.
Yeah.
What are you going to charge it with?
A house cord. I don't care. I mean, even if I can only drive it like once a year, I'll be out at the desert pirating all the energy off those solar panels that California put out there. I don't care.
Have you seen so those that solar panels reflect, right? They reflect a light beam. Have you seen the light beam that they reflect? It is like it's like a death ray when birds fly through that. Yeah. They catch on fire in the air. Yeah. Have you seen any of that?
I haven't seen any of it. I just saw there, which I'm glad it happened. There was a TED Talk that just happened with a guy who came out and actually was like, "Hey, green energy is not going to save the world. It's actually going to do more harm than good. We need to come to a better understanding on this microplastic." He just tore green energy up, and it's going to be I say the electric car is going to be the plastic bag of this generation, where this generation thinks the electric car is going to save them, and it's not going to save you. It's not going to make the world better. It's a lie that you're being told in order to sell new products. I mean, the reality is what they want is throwaway thing. What your corporations want is throwaway things. And
planned obsolescence.
If you take a look at even Elon's Tesla is a throwaway item. Like, go ahead and see what happens when you get in a car accident with a Tesla. You're not taking it to Bob's Automotive and getting it fixed. Yeah. It's just not happening. Yeah. That car is no longer functionable. I mean, what's his name? You remember that guy who built a Tesla from scratch? Like he went and bought
Black Dude YouTube channel. Yeah, great channel. He's still out there.
Go ahead and watch his channel. Man, I wish I knew his name because he's really good at. They're making all kinds of crazy shit now, but and see how hard it was for him to just get the Tesla turned on. Like,
are you looking that up, Jamie?
Tesla wouldn't even help him whatsoever because they said the car was totaled.
Even when he had it running.
Even when he had it running, he had to bootleg. He had to have some bootlegger come out of the woods and carjack that thing so he could get updates on it. Elon finally came. I'm sure Elon finally saw his channel and was like, "Oh, this guy's pretty cool." And I think Tesla finally came around and was like, "Okay, we'll let you do this." But it's planned obsolescence. They don't want you to have a refrigerator that runs for 20 years.
So Elon had a town home meeting, and I have to believe that this is planned, right? There's nothing that happens in front of that camera that he didn't know was going to happen, as big as they are. But he's talking to some dude that he appears to be from within the company or the holding of companies.
Right.
And he's asking Elon these questions, and he's like, so we're doing 1 million cars. I think it was 1 million cars a year, right? And he's like, you know what that works out to? He's like, yeah, we build a car every 15 seconds. A Tesla hits the road every 15 seconds. And he's like, but last year we had this bottleneck because we couldn't get We couldn't get enough ships. There wasn't enough freight. There wasn't enough trailers. We couldn't move them. The logistics of moving them was our problem, getting them to the end user. So there was like a 90-day period where these people were supposed to have their cars, but we couldn't get them out because there was literally not enough trucks and trailers and barges and boats to move them. So we're building our own. He's like, that's what we're going to do them for. And he goes, and plus we can have the car if you're within range. When you buy a Tesla, we can just have the Tesla drive to your house. It'll just show up at your house. But he was talking about, he's like, the biggest problem we're having right now is we can't get enough elements, the lithium and the mercury and all this stuff. And they're like, and the guy goes, so we're merging with he named some mining company. And he's like, no, we're not merging with them. We're setting up our own company. We're setting up our own mining and our own refining companies. Well, what that means is they will be able to provide other companies also. So now these politicians that are getting kickbacks from these other refinery and these other mining companies, those politicians aren't going to get that money because those dealers aren't going to have to do business with those other companies. And Elon does not appear to be friendly with them.
Well, Elon, the funny thing about Elon is Elon plays chess, everybody else plays checkers. So I don't know if you remember this. Biden had an electric vehicle summit.
And did not invite, he
invited all the car manufacturers except Elon Musk to create these, electric vehicles. So if you're playing chess and they're playing checkers, the smart thing is to go after the supply chain, right? Go after the supply chain. So Ford has to buy their fucking lithium from goddamn Elon Musk. And that's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He's going to own the supply chain because none of these other companies are even thinking about how they're going to get this stuff. And so,
did I hear that Ford has completely scrapped their electric truck, their F-150?
Well, I don't know if they completely scrapped it, but it was a dog. Like, it was a dog. When you have paid, so Ford paid, when you have paid advertisements or paid influencers, when you have paid influencers go out and compare your vehicle to a regular vehicle and it doesn't do half what the regular vehicle can do, it's a dog. They can't, it's not going to sell.
With the payload, I think I seem to recall hearing that the electric F-150 with the payload that it's supposed to carry, when you actually have that weight in there, it only got like 50 miles something absolutely insane.
It's I saw one where it was a F-150 against the electric F-150 and towing a trailer, just a regular small trailer within the capabilities, and they were going to go 300 miles. And so they went 300 miles, just regular 300 miles with the both of them. And the guy in the electric, they're like, yeah, this is the best. It's got all these widgets and gadgets, and it's the best, and we love it, and we're gonna win because the electric is actually faster. When you think about off the line and all that shit, the electric's faster. So we're gonna win. And so they do their little thing. The gas truck had to stop once for fuel. They get to the end. The gas truck guys are there. It took the electric truck an additional 4 hours to get to the location because of charging. And when they did the cost, so when they actually did the cost of the electricity that the electric car used and the gas that the gas truck used, it was more expensive for the electric truck.
Right.
And so here's the first off, guys, stop pretending that it's a technology that's going to save us. It's not. It is more environmentally destructive to make a car battery than it is to pump oil out of your backyard.
I don't think that at this point anybody that you and I are in contact with believe that it's going to save anything.
I know. I'm hoping that that some of Brandel's friends are on here and they're watching and they're like, I hate these guys. I'm just going to watch them. And what? Car batteries are bad for the environment? I don't believe that. Let me do a little research. Holy shit, I can't believe what they have to do to get lithium out of the ground.
Have you seen the guys in India that are rebuilding the car batteries? They take all the plates out. Yeah. Like, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if you really look at just e-waste, Okay, think about your iPhone and the computer, the 10 computers you had over your lifetime. If you just look at e-waste and then do a little research and see where that e-waste goes, and the children and the people that are taking that e-waste apart and the litter destruction of those environments. I mean, stop pretend. Here's the reality. Be an asshole and be like, I don't care what happens in India. I love my iPhone. Stop pretending that somehow because you live in America that you're helping the environment, because there is nothing that Americans do on a daily basis. Nobody. Unless you live on a farm all by yourself with no lights and you're eating your own eggs, I guarantee you have a carbon footprint that is affecting the rest of the world because you live in America. And if you live in a city, fuck you.
And your politicians want to punish you. They don't want to, it's not even about punishment.
It's not punishment.
They want to take money from you.
Yeah, they want to take money from you so they can continue to fly in their Gulfstream, what is it now, 15s?
Oh, these motherfuckers, they don't just fly.
And,
it's not just one plane.
Oh, I know.
They send a plane out ahead of the plane in case there's turbulence so they can take another route.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Joe Biden. He went to the World Summit for Green Energy. They took 8 limousines, armored limousines.
Yeah, but how many aircraft flew the limos?
I want you to think about how many aircraft they needed to take those armored limos. And the President of the United States always has 2 Black Hawks. It might be 3 Blackhawks. There's always 3 Blackhawks with him wherever he goes.
And F-15s or 16s.
That's 3 more airplanes that are flying wherever. So
and midair and the AWACS.
So you're not serious. You're not serious. It's like Joe Biden calling for gun control. Bro, you left millions and millions of real weapons in Afghanistan. You just put the merchant of death back on the streets. You don't give a shit about gun control.
So real quick on the Tesla thing, whenever I say anything about Tesla, and I'm not really
get an ad?
I'm not talking shit about Tesla. We went past Target on the way out of Nashville. We went to Target, and there's all these chargers there. On the backside of the charger, they say Kohler, right? They're Kohler generators charging these Tesla charger things. And there's 20 of them, 15 people sitting there. And I go, drive down there real quick. And I just did like this. And every one of them was sitting there with an iPad or a fucking laptop, right? And so I'm like, I can't imagine having a vehicle where you have to go someplace to charge it. It can't just charge while you sleep, right? Because they live in apartments or whatever. Right. These were local people, right? Most of these cars had the Tennessee plates on them. So dudes are like, man, it's super fast. You can launch control it. Now, I don't know about the Tesla, but when you launch control a GTR, it voids your warranty. Like, it literally voids the warranty of, I don't know which parts on the car are voided, but they give you this thing you can do, but it voids your warranty. And I don't know if that's the case with the Tesla or not. I mean, it's neat, but how many fucking times are you going to launch control that thing?
And you can't just go anymore, right? You have to, if you want to, I'll give you an example. I have a friend who has a Tesla. I went out to California. I was down in El Cajon. I'm like, hey, bro, it'd be really cool if you pick me up in that Tesla. He's like, you know what? I'll bring the Tesla down. I'll come get you in the Tesla. I'm waiting for him. Shows up. It's in the goddamn minivan. I'm like, minivan? What? You got a Tesla, bro? He goes, man, you were just out of range. You were just too far for the Tesla. I didn't realize how far El Cajon was down here, but you were just too far. And I certainly didn't want to wait for an hour at a charging station when we could just get on the road in the minivan. So, I mean, again, don't get me wrong. I'm not an electric hater. It would be nice if the technology really was doing what everybody is pretending it's doing. I mean, fuck, my iPhone is electric. I love it. I got a chainsaw that I love because it's electric, uses a battery. I love the technology, but the technology is not there and it's not going to save the world. And you really need to come to terms with the fact that they're strip mining other parts of the world in order for us to drive around in EVs. And even Elon has said, not going to save the world.
So while we're talking about the electric cars, we saw him turn off all of the Teslas that were in Russia, or we were told they did. I mean, with a click of a button, some keyboard strokes, right? They turn that shit off. Do you think if you own a Tesla that they're not monitoring that shit? Like all of your cars. I mean, even my Toyotas that are gas, Toyota hits me up and they're like, "Hey, bro, you have 200 miles until your $5,000 mile oil change is ready," right? They know how many miles I went. They know how fast you go. They can download that information when you're in an accident. Were you accelerating? Were you decelerating? Like insurance has access to all that shit. At what point are they part of your social credit score going to be, well, this guy drives over 100 miles an hour, so he's in this other bracket? It's just like all your DNA shit. When you gave away all your DNA shit, insurance companies have access to every bit of that. Those DNA companies came out and said, we gave that information.
Yeah, they sold the information.
So if you're predisposed to cancer or fucking butthole tightness, whatever fucking thing you have, why you look at me weird? You don't have butthole tightness? So... like, you guys are fucked.
He drinks too much chocolate.
And they come in and future crimes, thought crimes. Like, it's coming, man. Look at what Australia's fucking doing right now. Australia, all these other companies, UK is doing full lockdowns on sectors of the UK right now, just like they did during the Kufus, but they're doing it under the guise of global warming, green. I don't remember what they called it.
There's a couple of they're doing it.
They're limiting the days you're allowed to leave your neighborhood.
It's a thought experiment they're doing where they're actually doing it where they're going to close towns in order to limit your carbon footprint. You know, here's the reality. The reality is most of us are just herd animals, and we can be cold at any time. And when you think about a green, what's good for the planet? Well, what's good for the planet is not human beings. And when they do cull the herd...
And when they mean not human beings, they mean you, not them.
When they cull the herd, it's not going to be you standing in the Garden of Eden. It's going to be... Maybe you're going to be standing in the Garden of Eden. You're going to be standing in the Garden of Eden, eating all your fruit and being happy while the rich live in subterranean basements that wait for you to get fat and happy, and they drag you down there and eat your ass. I mean, I don't know.
You are the carbon they want to reduce.
We are the carbon footprint problem. And that's the reality is, if you think about Bill Gates, that's Bill Gates' whole stance is, people are the problem, and that's why he's all into eugenics and all that.
Why do you think they're automating everything? Because they are going to reduce your population, but they still want slaves. Who's going to make their hamburgers? They're not going to. The machine's going to.
They actually think. I feel like they actually think that they could create a utopian society where, the hamburgers are made by machines and their bed gets made by a machine. And I actually kind of a little bit feel sorry for, the uber elite who think they're going to live in that world. They're going to fucking all commit suicide because they're going to be lonely as fuck.
None of them look healthy.
Or what's likely going to happen is a year into the New World Order, those 10 Navy SEALs that you hired to protect your compound and watch over all your Nubian perfect virgin wives that you're going to have? They're going to kill and eat you. That's what's going to happen. They're going to kill and eat you. And there won't even be a memory of your existence. When they talk about the old times, they won't even talk about you anymore because they will have killed and eat you. And it's not, I don't get that. I don't get how Bill Gates, I don't get how Bill Gates can be walking down the street with 4 former SAS guys surrounding him and him not go, if the shit hit the fan, these guys would eat me.
Did you see the picture of him getting the pie thrown in his face?
No, but I mean, it should happen more often because, you guys, Bill Gates is not a doctor. He didn't even finish college. He made all his money by stealing his friends' ideas. And then he spent about 10 years, installing viruses on your Windows computers so you would buy updates so he could make millions of dollars. Now he's installing viruses in you. Fuck Bill Gates. And Bill, if you want to come for me, come for me.
Bill came out a few years ago, says, I have so much money, I'm going to start giving it away. It's a funny thing when that happens, when he says, I'm going to give all my money away, because he has 100 times more now than he had. It's crazy. Look at, I don't know if India has a prime minister or a president or whatever, but whoever's in charge of India. Look up India and polio and Bill Gates. He's not even allowed in the country. Like all those vaccinations, they vaccinated tons and tons of kids, and 40,000 people got active polio in 1 year in India. If you say that we're going to start taxing you and we're going to get up your ass with a microscope, you take away people's will. They remain in the slave system.
Real quick,
Are we
I don't know if you guys
Yeah, we're still
know this or
recording.
not, but I think it's Rich Benoit. He's the guy who rebuilt the Tesla. He was
Yes.
the one that was on Joe Rogan. And I think his YouTube channel is Rich Fixes Cars or something like that.
Rich the Builder.
Rich
Yeah,
the
okay,
Builder.
There we go.
Anyways,
Okay, give us another topic. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about? Don't you have a list of questions?
I don't know if we've done any of these questions. I feel like we might have.
Let's see. What's
Eric Holzer, I posted a question in the comments of episode 2.
So 2.
So if it's already been addressed and the episode hasn't been released yet, then my apologies. Related to the topic of explaining where a covert rig shines and where it doesn't, I'd like to hear both of your opinions on other types of rigs and roles they serve. For example, what variables would determine the necessity of wearing plate? I feel like we
did that question. We did those already.
Derek Olson, do you think smartphones existed 50 years ago, and do you think we have time travel technology?
No, we don't have time travel technology, and the smartphone. 50 years ago. I mean, when I think 50 years ago, I
Yeah.
think John F. Kennedy.
Yeah,
And
but
that is not 50 years ago. That really was 50 years ago was, what is that, 72-ish?
Watch your cord, you're on the cord.
Oh, sorry. That's like 72. So
That's before I was born. I was born in 71.
so they did not have smartphones, but a lot of people don't know this. Lyndon Johnson, so the president took Kennedy's position, Lyndon Johnson, he had a car phone. The limousine for the president of the United States had what we would consider a cellular phone inside of it. So the technology, it takes, back then it took time for technology to mature. Now we're at the I can't remember what they call it, but every 6 months your technology is obsolete.
And we have the ability to do great things. They won't do them because they will last you too long. Like we can have phones that would last for, years and years and years, but they call it planned obsolescence.
Yes.
Apple had to go before Congress and admit that we make these things break so that you have to buy a new phone. And that, like, if you look at the phones now, the batteries are sealed. You can't get to the battery. You can't put an SD card in. The memory gets filled up. All kinds of shit happens to them.
Apple actually had to pay all its users. I know because I've had Apple forever. They had to pay all its users. I think I got $10, but they had to pay all its users because it was actually doing updates to your phones that was limiting the amount of battery power
Still does.
so that you would go buy a new phone.
Still does it. You get a new phone and you're like, oh my God, how did I live without this? This thing is so good. And then you get an update. And
don't
buy your third update. But now my phone, it'll tell you, hey, there's an update available, and you can back out of it. But once you've done that for 30 days, it literally locks the phone. You won't have any cellular service. It won't let you do Wi-Fi. It won't let you do shit until you install that update. And I believe when you're doing that, they are downloading everything that you have fucking put in your phone.
I mean, I don't think they have to. I don't think
Yeah.
they have to
Anymore.
wait till you click the thing. I mean, I think it's part of your user agreement where they're like,
They've also shown, like, you were most recently, you were able to turn off your tracking, right? You were able to turn all your shit off. Well, under the user terms, on a complete different place was something else where they were still tracking all your shit.
yeah, you can't turn
They knew right where you are.
unless you have a flip phone that you can pull the battery out. There's no current phone on the market, even when you shut it off, that they don't have access to.
And when you hear people telling you, well, I still use the old phone. They're lying to you. They are just repeating some shit because there is no 3G cellular anymore. It's all fucking turned off. It's 4 and 5. All the old cell towers that those units ran on no longer exist. So people just say things to say things. People say things because they believe it to be true. It is not true. It is no longer correct. Here's some more to that same comment, which is interesting. When it comes to technology, I know that the general public is getting technology that existed 50 years ago. I heard that at Elvis's last concert, someone was captured in the crowd using a smartphone-looking device, either taking a picture or recording a video. I think they were someone who was from that time era, and had a smartphone, or they could have been a time traveler. I found the video, and it clearly looks like a smartphone with a phone case on. If you search on YouTube for Elvis Presley 1977 CBS Last Concert HD, it will happen at 18 minutes, 18 seconds. Thank you for pulling the thread. Videos, they are awesome and entertaining.
It's probably a piece of technology that we could find, some sort of camera, but probably not a smartphone, because the phone that you use every day, it was actually developed by the Department of Defense. It's all technology that was either in satellites or part of the nuclear defense system. So time traveler, I want you to think about this for a second, okay? I want you to think about this. You're at a concert. You're watching Elvis Presley. He's doing his thing. And somebody pulls out a device that no one has ever seen and starts recording. Everyone in that section is going to want to know, what the fuck is that? Where did you get that? How is that cool? How come I don't have one? I mean, it would be different if you're like, somebody took a picture of this dude in the woods and he had a thing that didn't come out for 30 more years, right? He's got this device. That would be different. But when you're talking about, because I've seen these before, there's a couple of pictures from 1920, some 1920 pictures where it looks like people have cell phones. But again, in a crowd. Now, if you're in a crowd of people, unless you are also invisible, everybody there is going to be like, what the shit? Did you see how small his camera was? My camera's 4 feet tall. How come I don't have a camera that, you know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things. There's a piece of technology that they had that we don't remember anymore, that they were using to do what they were doing. I'm sure I'll bet if you look up Kodak or, who's the one that does the Polaroid? I bet if you look up Kodak or Polaroid in 1971, they had a little teeny camera that looks exactly like a cell phone. Because there are flat cameras. There are flat cameras that they had in the 20s that, now they're kind of big, but still, I bet you can find a camera. And the other thing is time travel. Time travel only exists in the capability of time travel. So, for example, you have to have a time machine already invented in order to go back to that time. So you wouldn't be able to go, like, if you have a time machine, you're not going to be able to go see dinosaurs because the time machine didn't exist. But if they built a time machine in 1960, then you could go to 1971.
Have you seen the supposed to be Egyptian hieroglyphs? There's little dudes flying around in UFOs.
Yeah.
There's phasers.
Yeah, all
there's
kinds
USB ports. There's all kinds of modern technology that are in these carvings from who knows when.
The other thing too, though, about those, when you see those carvings, is not a lot of people actually understand Egyptian hieroglyphs, even the Egyptians. As human beings, we model our things after things that we have seen. It's kind of like Bluetooth.
Gotcha.
You know, Bluetooth was a Viking. That symbol was a Viking symbol. It doesn't mean that the Vikings had Bluetooth. It just, somebody saw it and was like, that'd be a really cool logo. Same thing with the Egyptian stuff. Yes, there are pretty interesting hieroglyphs of like model planes and stuff like that. And the more interesting thing is, we say Egyptians,
right?
But
the Egyptians showed up and that shit was there.
The Egyptians just walked into somebody's garage and was like, "Hey, this is our shit now."
How about Max's Past says, does Scully still accept strange guns in paper bags?
I mean, I'm not going to refuse a gun in a paper bag. I would love a gun in a paper bag, but I've done the paper bag gun. Recently, I almost bought a gun that was held together with packing tape. I thought that was pretty cool. But I would really like to buy some guns out of the back of a 5-ton.
Tell me about the packing tape gun.
Police turn. It was just a police turn-in.
Got it. So it was an auction or something?
Yeah, it was a police turn-in.
Back to the 5-ton.
Yeah, I would really like to buy some guns because I've bought guns.
Now you say 5-ton. I think deuce and a half.
Deuce and a half would be cool too.
Is there a but there was a 5-ton that looked just like a deuce and a half.
Yes.
There is a modern 5-ton also. LMTV is a 5-ton.
Yeah, LMTV. Yeah, LMTV would be good. Yeah, I would really like to buy some guns out of the back of a LMTV would be cool. In crates with dudes dressed up in uniforms, like I'm doing some sort of international arms deal.
Foreign uniforms.
No, it'd be nice if they were like National Guard guys, because that's kind of the thing. I bought guns out of the trunk of a car once from a guy wearing an M65 field jacket, only because that was a scenario. All these guns were legal. I'm not buying illegal guns. I'm not going to buy machine guns. I'm just saying, if you have if you have an M1 Garand you want to sell, let's throw it in a box, put it in the back of a 5-ton, and let me buy.
Bonus points if it's a big chick speaks Russian.
Yeah, it's big. If it's a big chick that speaks Russian, that's even better. I think if she speaks Russian
or Czech,
I think we would have to like meet in some sort of cafe to make the deal,
where they have little tiny coffee.
Yeah, little tiny coffees. That would be cool too. To me, buying guns now is more about the experience of buying the gun than the gun itself.
See this, if you had an app, right? If Jeff could go to an app, like OnlyFans app, but for buying guns.
Yeah. It would be great.
Okay, so Mehdi says, John and Scully, will you please talk about your experience with Berkey water filters a bit? Is there a better option? I'm just wanting something bigger to use daily for tap water than my small Brita tank.
Okay, John's the guy. John, you've been using a Berkey for...
I've got the Crown or the Big so the Big Berkey's deceptive, right? It's bigger than the Travel Berkey, but it's not big. They have a Crown and an Imperial. One of them takes like 8 filters. That's what we have. It's 6.5 gallons or 6 gallons. If you don't want to have to mess with that, you can get a reverse osmosis system. You can get all kinds of systems that have multiple filters in line, UV light, all kinds of stuff that you just plumb into your whole house system. If you want to go Berkey, which is what we use, just get the biggest one you can get. How many people are you running through? How many people are going to use it? We have about 15 people using this thing all day long. And the rule is when you take water out, you put a pitcher of water back in, and we use a 1-gallon pitcher. So that'll work great. And if you want it to move faster, put more filters in it. And then they also have a fluoride filter, which pulls out other stuff also with the fluoride that goes on the bottom of the carbon filter. So is there something better? Anybody else that's making a water filter compares their water filters to Berkey. When your marketing in your ad campaign is we're just as good as these guys, you should probably buy the guy that they're comparing themselves to.
I think what he's talking about is there's a lot of controversy on Berkey right now.
Yes, but the one dude that sparked all the controversy is promoting and selling the shit out of the other fucking brand of water filter.
Yeah, I don't have a dog in this fight. Berkey doesn't sponsor me. I do have the Travel Berkey. I got it, I don't know, 8 years ago, and it's still in the box, still in the. Because it's
so
one of those
tap water.
I drink a lot of bottled water, really.
Which so most bottled water
is just city water.
Is tap water.
Yeah, it's just city water. So I haven't set the Berkey up. I know Chef was like, when Chef set yours up, I'm like, that's the only reason why I haven't done it, because I don't want to fuck around with bleeding the filters and doing all that shit.
Easy.
I go, hey. And Chef was like, "Well, bring it here. I'll do it." And I just never brought it. And I don't use the Berkey. There is some controversy over their filters, because their filters are not government. I think it's, what is it, SA something rated. They're not rated. But I mean, the reality is Berkey was doing it before anybody else. Like if you wanted an off-grid water filtration system, like the Berkey. Berkey was doing it before anybody else. So everybody else is kind of like John said, everybody else is kind of copying what Berkey did because their system became so popular. The reality is, unless you live in Flint, Michigan, you can drink your tap water.
Well, tap water's full of chlorine and bromine.
Yeah, I mean, that's you can drink
fluoride.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, I'm telling you out there, no one lives forever.
All right, next one is Irish USMC vet says, John, he says, just missed the daily breakfast talks. There's one thing all Marines have in common. If you're active duty, you see some dumb shit happening. Love the well story and the dude shitting in it after it was complete.
Yeah, you gotta love it's the Western worlds, because it was the Germans who actually built that well. But it's the Western's world idea of civilization. You know, when you live comfortably and you're an American or even German and you're living in a first world nation, and then you go to Mogadishu, you don't understand that those people don't give two shits about how you live in Germany. They have their own special rules and their own special ideas of how life is. I mean, they had some beautiful beaches, like beautiful white sand beaches, and that is where everyone went to take a shit, on the beach.
And the brand new well. Yeah,
and the brand new well. Now I don't know if that was a power play. It didn't look like the guy was going to do it because he's just like, hey, I'm going to leave my mark here. It looked like just some random dude was like, I got to take a shit. There's a nice place to sit. Went shit right in the well. So I mean, that's the type of world that most of the world is actually like that. Go to India, not saying that people just shit in their water. I'm just saying that they live at a level that is much more harsh than what most Americans are used to.
I wonder how many people drink out of water thinking it's clean and really somebody shit in there right before.
Oh man, like the Ganges. They do everything in that river. They bathe in it. They throw their dead in it. They do everything. They drink out of it. They do everything. And you know what?
They're immune to it.
There are more people living in India than there are in the United States. So maybe there's something to that.
So Isaac,
don't poop in your water, guys. It's not a good idea.
Isaac Barrett says, what are your thoughts on balkanization and where do you think the line will end up?
Balkanization. Are we talking about Russia taking over?
Of the United States. Balkanization of the United States.
I don't even know what.
States breaking apart.
Oh, states breaking apart. It's a tough call when you think about it, because there are real municipalities that are attempting to separate from, like there's a really good one going on in Oregon right now that's very close. If
Canada, California too.
Yeah, California, the San Bernardino one is not.
No, up northern. There's the most northern tip of California talking about.
It's not going to be California. Because Oregon is actually this is how dumb people are. Oregon is actually entertaining it. Like the left is actually entertaining letting the right, the red part of Oregon, secede and go to Idaho.
Yeah, wait till the first one happens.
That's all it takes. If one state allows that to happen, if they allow their area to be broken up, it's going to be a domino effect. All the states are going to get fractured, not the way you think they're going to get fractured, but it's going to be red versus blue. And I hate to tell you this, guys, if you're on the far left and you're living in the city of Chaz and you think that you're going to grow all your own food and you're going to live the left dream, non-binary utopia, the minute we separate left and blue, you will not exist. You'll probably have about, I don't know, I wouldn't even give you a month before you people are eating yourselves.
And it's not going to be us doing it.
No, we're not going to do it. You're going to do it to yourselves. All we have to do is shut the roads down between the red states or red areas of this country and the blue areas of this country. The blue has nothing. Yeah, you have vote. Like L.A. County has enough people living there to outvote the rest of the state of California. Yes, so you do control the state of California. But if you shut those roads down, you don't have any food. There ain't no lefties out there farming. That's a myth.
Yeah, they're not farming. They're not hunting. Okay, so let's say California, right? We give California breaks off and becomes its own thing. You're like, well, California has the ocean. They ain't out on fishing ships, fucking catching fish and crabbing and shit. That ain't who they're not blue collar workers.
No, you're in some serious trouble if we go blue versus red. Blue doesn't. The truth of the matter is, the conservative side of this country does not have to do anything. All they have to do is just close the roads. And I mean, New York City, the reality is, and a lot of people don't know this, is New York City does not have 48 hours worth of food. So the minute those bridges and those roadways are closed, in 48 hours, there is no food in New York.
They call them useful idiots. And anytime you have, anytime you, like the Nazis, right? Anytime you have some corrupt government like that, they always have those people that back them and push those policies. And as soon as they take control and they take over, they always execute those people immediately.
Yeah, you're not
because they know because they're dangerous to them, right? They stood behind them, they held them up, and now you have wronged those people. They find out that what they believed in was bullshit. They always execute those people. They always put those people in camps. They always put those people on islands. The Nazis did it. They went through and killed all those people that supported and backed them immediately. They always eliminate them. They call them Yuri Bezmenov talks about that quite a bit. So Brian Fraser says, Scully, is Crenshaw as bad as I think? I was a supporter until his insider trading and everything became public. I think that you need to know that they're all doing it, whether you think they are or not. His new anti-cartel act, trying to turn Mexico into a never-ending Afghanistan-type terrorist hunt, brings a lot of questions about new breed of rhino, him and Tulsi Gabbard.
Him and Tulsi Gabbard?
So Tulsi Gabbard was anti-gun, and now that she's left the Democratic Party, she's coming out and trying to explain how she wasn't really anti-gun. And everybody's just eating it up.
Well, I mean, let's just be clear. If you think presidential, okay, if you think the last election, or even when Trump ran the first time, Tulsi Gabbard was the most presidential out of all of them. Mm-hmm. But the Democratic Party destroyed her. Do you know why they destroyed her? Because she wouldn't take their PAC money. Meaning the Democratic Party tried to buy her off, and she said, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to take your PAC money. Now, I'm not a fan of Tulsi Gabbard's policies. She has some radical policies. She is from Hawaii. It's okay to rape minors in Hawaii. Yes, that's right. You can have sex with a 13-year-old in Hawaii. That's legislated. I'm not a fan of all her policies. And does she have some fucking lunatic policies as far as guns go? Yes. But I think the difference between Tulsi Gabbard and the class of individuals that the Democrats and the Republicans are putting forth is she was the most presidential. I don't think we would have the far right or far left agenda going on underneath her as president.
Division.
I don't think we would have that going on. Now, would she try and socialize everything? Maybe. I mean, she was in Bernie Sanders' back pocket. But again, she wasn't taking money. And that, to me, that's more important. It's more important that somebody is willing to debate the ideas, and I don't have to worry about Pfizer putting millions and millions of dollars into her back pocket, because that is going to affect her ideas. Right? She has to vote in favor of Pfizer because Pfizer is actually paying for her. I mean, not that that's actually happening, but I like the idea that she told the Democratic Party to fuck off. I'm not taking your buy money, but they crushed her for it. And if anybody should have flip-flopped, gone Democrat to Republican, it's her. Now, she probably should have went she probably should have went independent.
Did she go Republican?
I
don't
you know
think
what?
so.
Maybe I don't know. I'm sorry if I put you in the wrong camp, but I mean, she's releasing videos of her out there 3-gunning. She's out there shooting AR-15s when she wanted to ban them.
Is that Duran Tactical's place?
No, this was somewhere
So she's been on.
somewhere else.
She's been on.
I mean, I like when she articulates.
She's been on Jack Carr's podcast. She's been on Black Rifle's podcast. She's been on she's made the whole rounds.
When she articulates her ideas, I like her ideas. Like, recently I saw her, she was talking about, Mitt Romney came out and said she was a traitor. So they sent a legal binding, they sent a letter to Mitt Romney and said, hey, I'm a lieutenant colonel in the National Guard. You've accused me of treason. Prove it. There are things that you could do as a senator. You could have me arrested if you actually had proof that I was a traitor. She's calling these people out. And they're not responding. They're not responding because they know they're full of shit. And, this has to do with I like her policy on Ukraine. I'm sorry, Ukraine, but we shouldn't be giving you billions and billions of dollars to fight the Russians. You either get your shit together and you fight the Russians on your own.
Because they're not fighting the Russians.
You beat the Russians before once. You can do it again.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Okay. Again, Brian Fraser. Scully, how bad would it have to get before Brazil and China riots start here?
It's just it's comfortable level, guys. We're very comfortable. I mean, yeah, you got Antifa running around, and you got Black Lives Matter that obviously they've all been paid off, so they're not burning towns down anymore. It's comfortable level. Like if the reality is if you think about Antifa, where did Antifa start? It started in Oregon. And the reason why it started in Oregon is because for a long time, California was shipping its homeless population up to Oregon, and Seattle became a hotbed for homeless. It is a very huge, there's huge homeless encampments everywhere, but Seattle is the king. And when you have all these disenfranchised youths that are on drugs, that are living on the streets, that's Antifa. That's how you got Chaz. You got Chaz because you had all these people that were technically uncomfortable and didn't have anything to lose. So why not try and take over part of the city?
Do you know who Andy Ngo is?
I do not.
So, political reporter, gay dude, Asian guy.
Oh, he got his... Yeah, I know who
They lit him on fire.
Yeah, he got...
So Antifa chased him into a hotel, lit him on fire. He called the police. The police weren't responding. He was putting out tweets. Elon Musk put out that Twitter was actually removing those and suppressing those tweets, his call for help. They literally lit him on fire. Yeah. And when he posted the photos of himself having been lit on fire when he got out of the hospital, almost killed him, Twitter pulled those photos down. Yeah. Elon Musk put all that shit out there.
That's another example. If you think that the government cares about you or the government's going to help you, the city council did so much damage to the police department in Seattle that those officers were not legally, and I hate to say I would hope that I would do it differently, but those officers were not allowed to do anything to protect the people. The reality of what was going on up there when the Proud Boys and Antifa were fighting was the city was encouraging it. The city was allowing that to happen. They were approving the permits for those parades, and they were putting those individuals together to fight out in the streets. So that was the city of Seattle that was doing that. And until the local mom and pop citizens get off their asses and sue the shit out of the city council, like go after those actual individuals in lawsuits because of the damage that this has occurred on you, they're going to keep doing it. They don't care.
What do you think would happen if the individual citizens went and took it upon themselves to go after those council members?
Well, you see what happened to the PTA meetings where the FBI sent their stormtroopers to investigate moms who were mad that their daughters were having to hang out in locker rooms with boys. It has to be a big uprising. If they would have went in there and really pulled those people out, maybe. People are just too comfortable. We're just too comfortable.
Dave Adkert says, what happened to Teasers when we were in town for Jaeger's party, it was permanently closed. Maybe because the dancers asked the customers to take their leftovers home. I don't know what that means. Also known as best damn burger in town. I've never stuck foot in the place.
Truth be told, when COVID happened, when COVID initially happened, you never know, right? Maybe it's going to be the Black Plague. Maybe it's not going to be the Black Plague. So I started scaling back my dancing, and just never went back. I mean, ultimately that's what happened. I scaled back to the point where I had to really evaluate whether it was worth it to go and dance, and it just wasn't worth it.
Having been there, I've heard crazy stories about it. Having been there yourself.
Yes.
What was the craziest? I heard there's a one-legged dancer.
I want you to think about this. First time I come to Tennessee, John's having a birthday party. He does not know that I'm coming to Tennessee. Lance picks me up at the airport. We're flying. I don't know what time it was. It was pretty late, probably 8:00. And he's like, let's go downtown and get something to eat. I'm like, that's fine. I'm hungry. Let's go downtown. So we're in Nashville. But it wasn't late. It was like 6:30. And so there was some traffic and shit like that. And he's like, nah, man, let's not go here. I know where we can get the best hamburger in Tennessee. And I'm like, cool, let's go. I go, where is it? He goes, it's in Camden. It's right by where we're going to go. I'm like, good, let's go get the best hamburger in Tennessee. And so we end up at Teasers. And interestingly enough, I don't know why it would. I mean, it was definitely a sad strip club, but they had a full, like when you walk in, they had a full nice bar. Nice enough that I don't know why they just didn't wasn't partition it between.
I heard the parking lot's always full.
It's always full.
And you go inside and there's no girls there.
Well, it's always full of trucks. It was always full of trucks.
There's never anyone in the building.
And you go inside, and there's like two old guys. There's like two old guys at the bar drinking. There's three girls leaning up against the dance floor that look like they look like they've been running a 48-hour shift. Like they're tired. They don't want to be there. They just don't, one of them was pregnant. And then there's two dudes that are literally up against the stage just waiting. And Lance is like, this is the best burger in the place.
Was it?
So we go, no, it wasn't the best hamburger. I mean, it was Teasers. It was,
all these years I've been thinking it really was.
There's nothing like.
Sounds like a Waffle House.
There's nothing like and the only place to sit, obviously the tables are around the dance floor. So me and Lance roll in there and we sit down we go to the bar, we order our hamburgers, and then we sit down. They bring the burgers out. Like literally they bring food out. And as soon as they bring the food out, this lady had to be in her early 60s. She's at the dance floor and she's
a dancer?
Yes. She's like, oh God. She gets up and kind of slowly walks over to our table. Now, again, they've brought food out. We have cheeseburgers and drinks, and she comes over and she's like, in the raspiest smoker voice possible. She's like, do you want to dance? I'm like, I'm eating a cheeseburger. What kind of?
Where were you the last 30 minutes?
I got French fries and ketchup on the table, and you want to do a dance. She's like, you want to dance? I'm like, no, I'm eating a cheeseburger. Literally, Lance is right here. She walks around and does the same. Do you want to dance? Lance is like, maybe after we're done eating. It would actually be funny to get Lance here to tell the same story, because I'm sure he'd have a spin on it. But after we're done eating, and then she just saunters back over to the dance floor and sits in a chair. Now it's got the strip club music going and everything, and then you have these three girls that again, like they have just pulled a 48-hour shift in a coal mine are sitting there not doing anything. And it was not the best cheeseburger in the world. I believe that Lance was sweet on the old lady.
Really?
No, I don't know.
So you said, what did you say?
So this just sounds like a local Waffle House.
Okay, so Waffle House. We have a friend that likes Waffle House. Anytime we're in Atlanta, they go to the same Waffle House. The line cook in there is chain smoking while he's cooking your food.
Oh, my mom managed our Waffle House for 20 years, and I'm pretty sure still they just sit in there.
What is a porno house? What does a porno shop and Waffle House have in common? Their floors are just as sticky.
All right, last one. Vince Vegas says, what's yours and Scully's thoughts on the shit show in Brazil? Also, what does Scully think on the possible assault weapon ban that is supposedly coming? So these questions are kind of old.
Yeah.
The thing in Brazil, I don't even know if that's still going on. I think it is. But what about all the gun control shit going on right now? Dead fish out of water?
Here's the truth of the matter is, because of the Bruin decision, it's going to be very, very hard to write a law without repealing the Second Amendment,
which they'll try to do.
I actually saw a thing the other day where they were, I think the Bloomberg initiative is pushing this, where they are starting to repeal the Second Amendment in all of their stuff, because the Supreme Court has kind of put a nail in the coffin for any of that stuff. Like, I don't know if you know, out there in the real world, California has some of the strictest gun laws on the books as far as magazine bans, assault weapons, like that. And it looks like this year, because it's in the court right now, it looks like this year all that's getting thrown away because of the Bruin decision.
Thrown away again.
Yeah, well, this time, because it went back down to the Third Circuit Court, where I believe Judge Benitez is his name. He's the one that created that open window where California bought 1 million magazines, high capacity magazines, and then they shut it. Then the Ninth Circuit shut it down.
So is it illegal to have them in California?
Yes. Well, okay.
So are they prosecuting any of that?
No. Well,
because it was on hold.
I don't want to say that they're prosecuting any of that, but no, it wasn't on hold. They made it illegal to have high capacity magazines. There was when I was still in California, there was that gray area where if you had them previous to the law, you could legally have them. But then they did that whole registration thing where it made it illegal for you to even have, you couldn't grandfather any of it. So it was illegal. They weren't prosecuting people per se for having a magazine, but they were using it as writers. So
enhancements.
Yeah, enhancements. So an example is there was an Army a soldier that was in Texas for his whole thing. I think he must have been in probably tanks, but he was in Texas the whole time, and then got out of the Army, moved back to California. Well, like any good American, he owned an AR-15, brought it, did not register it, which was the first no, but because I think he could have registered it because he was in the military at the time, and then put it in a safe, did the California due diligence, put it in a safe, had it locked up. His brother, who did not live with him, was at school and made comments about he was going to go home and get his dad's guns and shoot up the school. So the cops raided the parents' house, and the parents are like, we don't have any guns. There's no guns here. And they're like, well, he said he was going to get some guns. And I believe the parents were like, his brother's the only one with guns. And so they went and raided. They used the red flag laws to raid his brother's house. And unregistered assault rifle. But then he had 10 magazines. Now, they added those. Each one of those is a felony in California. So now you're looking at, 500 years in prison because you had 10 magazines for your AR-15. I don't believe he's in jail. I believe what California is doing with all that is they're arresting those people, like they probably arrested him, and they're like, hey, you know what? Plead guilty to this felony.
So you can no
6
longer
months.
own
Yeah,
any
6
guns.
months. We'll put you on 6-month probation, good behavior, blah blah blah, and kick him out on the street. Because what that does for California is then they don't have to pay for his room and board in jail,
So
and he can no longer own a
so
firearm.
when they change that law, if California changed that law, does he get his rights restored?
I don't know.
Because
Usually-
weed's legal pretty much everywhere now.
Yeah.
But we still have people in prison for weed.
Will he get his rights restored? Maybe, maybe not. Because we're not very in the justice system, we're not very good with retro. Like we don't go back and, pardon the witches of Salem because sorry, we were dumb. We didn't know there wasn't real things, witches.
So last thing here before we end this off, this episode here. Recently, some of your fellow Marines
Yes.
have retired as generals.
Really?
While wearing a dog mask. And then showed his balls.
Retired?
Showed his balls.
Okay.
Got out. They're actually Army officers.
Oh.
You're not familiar with
I
this?
am not familiar
Oh,
with it.
well, let me tell you. Rowdy, I believe his name was, General so-and-so, retired, maybe it was Colonel, retired, got out, and his gay life partner also is a captain, active duty captain.
Yep.
And
you want to know why?
he's literally posing in uniform on the flight line with other fucking subordinates with him while wearing his said dog mask. You haven't seen any of this?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's the talk of the town right now.
It's
Do you have a dog mask?
Article 134. He could be charged with that because that's an inappropriate statement in uniform. So I can't.
Do you remember when the Marines were doing porn
Yeah.
in uniforms and they busted the shit out of
Busted
those
the shit out of
guys?
them. Well, it's the same thing. If I don't care. The reality is there are gay people in the military. If you're not going to uphold the honor and tradition of the uniform, then you should be prosecuted. Whether if I was doing regular porn in my uniform, and the Marine Corps has the capability of prosecuting you, I cannot put my uniform on, so I can't put my dress blues on. So like when you're watching TV and you're watching The Price is Right, and you look out in the audience and you see a bunch of people in camouflage, you see a bunch of Army guys in camouflage, or you see Air Force people in their uniform, whether it's the news or whatever, they had to get permission from the Secretary of Defense to do that. You cannot wear your uniform in public for a public event without permission from Secretary of Defense. Now, usually that's the base general or whatever that's like, hey, The Price is Right wants a bunch of Marines on there. Put on your blues and go to the Price is Right. But it's still, I can't, shave my beard, cut my hair, put my blues on, and go, go promote the local tattoo shop or I can't do that in uniform. That is illegal. So it's the same thing if I'm doing anything that brings, that puts the service in a bad light. So if I am wearing my S&M costume in uniform, standing next to a Black Hawk helicopter, that's a chargeable offense.
Didn't they used to bust dudes for like just fucking picking up bread and milk on the way home in uniform?
Yes, you can't do that. So, I mean, the reality is you have this group of individuals, and I'm going to tell you who it is. It's the woke people that think that they are untouchable.
Well,
And that they can get away. They are temporarily untouchable, that they think they can get away with whatever they want to get away with. And, for the most part, we're allowing it. But the reality is that general could be charged under the UCMJ for conduct unbecoming. It's even worse that if he had
So some people,
if it was four generals standing there and he was wearing a dog mask, maybe a little bit different because we wouldn't know context, right? We wouldn't know context of the photo. But if he's got subordinates there, that's unbecoming.
so the context of the photo is very clear because he typed it out. very clearly.
Yeah, well, he could be
And
charged.
then say there's 1,000 comments on
Even
there.
retired, he could be charged.
Say there's 1,000 comments on there, and 100 of them were, "You're sick" or whatever, right? His next move was to put his costume on and pull his balls out and hold his balls and said, "I got something you can all lick on." That was his next photo that he posted, also in uniform.
Yeah, he should be charged. He should be charged. They should go after him for that, because that's you can't have you. The whole purpose of the military is good order and discipline. You cannot have good order and discipline if your leadership thinks they are exempt from the same rules as your minions, your pawns. If your pawns believe that you are not beholden to the same standards that they are, the fuck off. You're not going to have a military for very long. And that is the reason why you can't recruit anybody. You can't recruit anybody because no one wants to follow a dude with his balls out, or 18-year-old males are not looking to join a platoon that is non-binary. It's just the military has been infiltrated by these people that don't understand that the sole purpose of the military is to close with and destroy the enemy by fire and maneuver. That's it. It's not to promote any agendas. It's to close with and destroy the enemy by fire and maneuver. And if you think you're going to integrate some sort of special program and suddenly your forces are going to be the same, they never are.
It's almost as though the powers that be, our leadership, is owned by another country, and this is actually designed on purpose to weaken our military.
Well, I think the reality of what it was the right. I mean, the left in the 90s, in the late 80s and 90s, got their asses handed to them by conservatives.
You think that's coming again?
No, I don't think it's coming again. I think we're at a point where we have to have something serious happen. We have to become uncomfortable. Like,
and what do you think that is?
The government needs to come out and go, hey, all you service members that are on pensions, we can't afford to pay you anymore. And I think that will be the end of the woke culture for sure. And it'll be the end in a terrible way. Because you can't make that many people uncomfortable and not pay a price for it.
Well, shit, they're still paying all these pensions in California.
Yeah, they have to.
Nothing's collapsed.
No, I know. They have to. They have to keep. That's the point.
That's why they keep selling those bonds and building those schools.
They have to keep kicking that can down the road. They have to, because the minute a politician stands up and goes, "Hey, man, there's no can to kick.
It's all fake.
It's all fake."
How long till that happens?
I don't know. We've been kicking it. California's been kicking the can down for years.
Think we'll ever see it happen?
Hey, maybe. I mean, there's so much on the problem is there's so much crazy shit that's on the horizon.
Right.
That do we see a breakdown in the social fabric before AI decides we're useless and eats us all? I don't know. I mean, there's so many things on the horizon. Does Putin, before his last day, is he like, fuck it, let's use these things?
How old is Putin?
He's got to be in his 60s.
All right, you got anything to leave him with?
Let's see, anything to leave him with? Just our whole thing is controversy here, right? We're spreading controversy and
hold on a second. I gotta piss.
You gotta piss.
Yeah.
Hurry up. John's got to piss.
We're almost done, but I gotta fucking pee.
Okay, go. What have you been drinking? You didn't drink that green stuff that was over there, did you?
This is the one. I don't know about any other. Like, I know there's others. It became like a trend, but that's the big one that everybody's talking about.
I mean, the big problem with this is, like this picture in particular, that's a required photograph. So
they allowed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a required photograph. That means he walked into
Yes.
that
There's a
photography
photographer
studio.
there,
It's
yeah.
and the photographer is a military person, and that photographer is probably enlisted. So, and probably I bet is a fucking corporal. And he walked in there with that shit on there and said, "Hey, I want you to take a picture of me next to the flag with my dog face on."
Yeah.
You show Brandel.
The corporal should have said, the person taking the picture should have said, "Sir, that is inappropriate. You can't do that."
Well,
But
this unraveled, and there's fucking hundreds of these photos.
yeah, I know.
It's called like I'll find the hashtag for you. Actually, I can see it right here if I remember.
Puppy play.
Yeah, pup dog or pup play or something.
Hey, sometimes you gotta let that freak flag fly too, you know.
Yeah, you can let.
Pup,
Hey,
army pup. there's
here's
like a bunch
here's the
of them.
thing. Even the military understands that. You can fly your freak flag. If you want to, if Brando wants to put on his leather harness and go
Sit on top of light poles.
go be in the gay pride parade, right? The military does not care. Like the military does not care. Go ahead. Freak it up. But don't put your don't put your dress uniform on and then put your leather shit over it and be in the gay pride parade. That's inappropriate.
Can he have the leather shit under the uniform? As long as
Always
nobody
have-
knows.
I always have.
Yeah,
my
as long as
leather
nobody
shit on under my
as long as
uniform.
nobody knows, you can do whatever you want under the. Well, technically, you can't. I mean, technically, you can't. If you go letter the law, you are prescribed everything. You are prescribed all the recruitments
Even
of your uniform,
undies?
even your undies.
What if you're still wearing all that, but you put something else on?
Don't get caught.
Yeah. I mean, it's a don't get caught, and nobody cares because, like, I'll give you an example. In the Marine Corps, the shirt that you wear underneath your dress blue uniform is a white collared shirt. That is the required shirt that you wear under your dress blue top. Now, gangsters in the Marine Corps will wear their platoon shirts underneath their dress blue uniform. Now, technically, they are out of uniform, but you're being a gangster because you're wearing your platoon shirt underneath. So when the shit is out of control at the Marine Corps ball, you're like, second platoon represent, right? And then the sergeant major's like, hey, and then you take off running and the sergeant major chases you, but he can't catch you because he's old and you're young. And then, a month later they do an admin stand down about, hey, the appropriate shirt to wear underneath your dress blues is the white collared shirt. And everybody's like, woo, 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 second platoon. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But
We used to have Marines ask us to print the SOE shirts on a green shirt,
Yeah,
so that they could
so they
wear
could wear
them
it
under
under
their
uniform,
for their
yeah.
BDUs.
because even again, if you're wearing your camouflage uniform,
Green shirt or that ugly brown one.
yeah, at the time, whatever the required color is, like I think the Army wears a dumb gray one now, but they prescribe what color that shirt is. Now, when they say green shirt underneath, it is not allowed to have anything printed on it. But, again, the infantry is a different culture. So, if you get your platoon shirts done in green, so when you take off, because usually the only time you're taking off your blouse, they call it a blouse. Anytime you're taking your blouse off, it's because you're either at a working party, or there's about to be some, like, it's Pugil Sticks time, or it's something, and you pull your shirt off, and you're like, Scout Snipers, bitches, what's up? Like, I'll give you an example. This is the coolest thing I have ever seen in the military. It's the first Gulf War, and I'm in 1st Battalion, 9th Marines, The Walking Dead, and they celebrated it. You could wear black PT shorts, the only Marine Corps unit in the Marine Corps besides Recon that were authorized black PT shorts. They did all the logos, The Walking Dead up and everything. The first Gulf War is getting ready to kick off, and everybody's jazzed up, and we're all and we're on the big ship. And I was with Charlie Company 19, and the MEU commander. So the MEU commander is a full bird colonel versus our battalion commander, who's a light colonel. He comes, so the MEU commander is in charge of the entire MEU, meaning he's in charge of all the elements within that group. So the air wing, he's the guy, right? The battalion, as the battalion landing team, as we were called back then, is basically subordinate to him. So our colonel works for him, but he's not part of 1-9. He is the MEU commander. So we're getting ready, everybody's hyped up because the Gulf War is going to happen, and we're going to, we're 18 and we're going to go to war, and it's the shit. And the MEU commander comes down and he's giving us the war speech. Now they always give you everybody always gives you some sort of war speech, to hype it up. And he is like, he's giving us the war speech. And then he's like, I was a lieutenant in this battalion in whatever, 1968 or something, when 1-9 became the Walking Dead. And he's like, my heart is always with 1st Battalion, 9th Marines, and this is the best battalion that the Marine Corps has ever produced. And he's pumping us up. That's their job. Well, most commanders don't know that now, but back then they knew you got to pump the crowd up, right? And he's like, we're going to go and we're going to fucking kick their ass. He's just giving us the whole spiel about it. And then he's like, because it's the best battalion ever, and rips his blouse open. So, his woodland blouse open. And he's wearing a 1st Battalion, 9th Marine t-shirt on underneath. Oh my God. If the Russians, the Koreans, the North Koreans and the Chinese had all attacked the MEU at that given time, we'd have wiped them out. I mean, we were elevated to the highest level because he was wearing that shirt underneath his blouse, and you don't do that. And here is this full bird colonel who's like representing. And oh man, it was like, I will say this: the Marine Corps in the late 80s and early 90s was more like the Hells Angels than it was like a military organization. We could have. We're sending all these troops all over the world, but man, a fucking MUSOC in the 1990s, we'd have fucking found Bin Laden the day we went over there.
And the Walking Dead had nothing to do with the TV show, right?
No, it didn't have anything to do with the TV show. Before that, it was The Walking Dead. Basically, if for those that you don't know, 1st Battalion, 9th Marines was in a battle in Vietnam where they sent a regiment, a NVA regiment, not Viet Cong, NVA, so regular Army troops of North Vietnam, to eliminate 1st Battalion, 9th Marines. And the battle was epic, and many were killed. And when it was all over, 1st Battalion, 9th Marines was down to a company. That's a handful of dudes survived and won the day, but that's where they got the nickname The Walking Dead. It was from Vietnam.
Did you guys see combat when you went ashore?
No.
Is that when they all surrendered and everything?
Yeah, I mean, when 1-9 was scheduled, we were basically cleanup, and when 1-9 was scheduled to go into battle, the fucking war was already over. So we didn't do shit.
Got it.
We didn't do shit.
Any last words to leave them with?
Oh, any last words? 1st Battalion, 9th Marines is the best Marine Corps battalion. But I'm talking about West Coast. East Coast, 1st Battalion, 9th Marines, not so much. And just, like I was telling Brandel earlier, have fun. Get out and enjoy your life. There's a lot to see in this country that is beautiful and nice. There's all kinds of friendly people out there. Go out and see the world if you can. Try not to worry about what's going on in Ukraine or, East Texas. Unless it affects you directly, don't worry about it. It's not going to matter. I mean, again, if, like I said earlier, if Putin decides to launch all his weapons, nothing you can do about it. I mean, nothing. You might as well be like those people in I can't think of the name of the movie where the aliens come and everybody's up on the roof partying with their signs. Hey, aliens, come get us. And then they laser beam them and kill them all. You might as well be like that, really, because it doesn't do you no good to hide in your basement and wait for the Russians to show up, because you're just going to starve to death anyways.
So that's it exactly, right? Does it directly affect you? War within arm's reach. Can you touch it? Can you feel it? Can you see it? Can you smell it? And if the answer is no, what would you be better off putting your energy into? What if it actually is by design to keep you down? Because when you're down and you're suppressed, you're a slave, right? You're that cow, right? They cut you and they take the blood and congeal it, and they milk you every day, and you just show up so they can just milk you and take your money because you're a slave. And the more energy that you have to put into your own thing, into your own family, you no longer need the system.
Yep.
And they need you to need that system. And the better you do, the less you rely on them and the less they matter. And that's dangerous to them. And the government, especially this government, it's a wounded animal right now, backed in a corner. It's in its death throes, and it's very dangerous. It's lashing out. Stay away from them. Stop paying attention to what they're doing. Put your energy into something that will actually change your family and the future of your family. And then what they do doesn't matter anymore. Well, they're going to tax me. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Sure. But what are they going to tax? Even if they're taking 50%, and they take 50% of $100, or they take 50% of $5 million, which would you rather have at the back end of it? Just put your energy into something that you actually have something to show for. And so often, I believe it's by design. The fear is by design, because when you are in that fight or flight, you're always worried and wondering and waiting for the next thing. You're not rested. You're not you don't have the energy to accomplish. So just do some shit that you're proud of and create something worth showing and talking about, and stop talking about them.
Yeah, fix the things that you can fix, and don't worry about the things you can't fix.
Yep.
I mean, I can't do anything about the war in Ukraine. I can't do anything about Nancy Pelosi stealing millions of dollars through insider trading. I know some people will say that we can, but we can't. That machine is going to go until it just breaks down, and I believe they are in the throes of it breaking down. I am surprised that the Democrats didn't let the Republicans take over all of it, because that's usually what happens when you think about the worst places you've ever been, like let's say New York City. New York City didn't get cleaned up until Giuliani took it over, until the Republicans took it over. California, the best times California's ever had was under Republican ownership. So I'm surprised that the Democrats haven't finally just been like, here, you can have it, fix it so we can continue to steal millions and millions of dollars. Oh, that was not a good thing.
No, that's good. All right. No, we're good.
Sorry.
All right, guys. That was episode 6.
6.5.
6. All right. Next week. We will see you next week.
Yeah, man, I'm talking about Willis one.
Did you want to thank the sponsors?
No, I mean, Elon, I'm serious. Electric tank. Come on. We're not going to make any money. I'm just going to drive it around town, honestly. But
he just bought Twitter. It's not making any money either.
Well, he's having so much fun.
I think he is.
He's having so much fun.
Having fun.